500 years old or whatever. Imagine like this.
It's no Caravaggio, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, that's my favorite.
He's my absolute favorite.
Oh, he was such a psycho too. He's such
man.
a maniac.
Tupac, man.
He killed people.
Yes, he died on the edge of the desert with all his riches around him, but he shipwrecks trying to get away and start over because he burnt all his bridges.
He was bipolar. That's one of my.
Yeah. Dude, Caravaggio is my fucking favorite. I have a picture of me with my favorite of his is. I mean, obviously, it's that claroscuro. It's that light and darkness that he captures.
That
realism. It's so crazy. But I like David with the head of Goliath.
Yes.
That's my favorite one. And the head of Goliath, the disembodied head, is a self-portrait of Caravaggio, dude. Isn't that cool, man? He showed his only self-portrait he ever did is him fucking dead, a fucking severed head being held by a twink.
Caravaggio. He's held by a twink, is that what you said?
Look at it, I'll show you.
And look at him. I mean, you see this guy who's like Mozart. Look at it. He's got the genius eyes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's Caravaggio.
That's Caravaggio. He was a Renaissance
he's like the
painter.
greatest painter.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Art History Museum in Vienna, and there's lots of Renaissance and medieval era art and portraits and tapestries and shit. And his shit is just so much better and realer looking than all the other ones.
It's crazy. And then you read about his life and how he was just.
I listened to a podcast in 2015 or 14 that was called History on Fire. It's one of the early podcasts, really, and he did a whole series on Caravaggio, and he basically keeps comparing him to Tupac. He's beefing with these other artists and other young men in fucking, where was he, Florence or whatever and shit. They're going around, and they're fucking having sword duels. He's killing people in bars. He keeps beating up pimps because he doesn't want to pay for fucking hookers and shit.
Yeah, he was into guys and girls.
Well, that's just typical of the time, I think. Yeah, look at this.
That one I love. This one with the, he does the light.
Yeah. His whole thing is
the thing about he painted these.
Did you see David in the Head of Goliath?
500 years ago.
Yeah, dude.
What museum is that?
It's in Vienna when I saw it. It's in the Art History Museum in Vienna, but it may move around. It's not that big. It's not one of those giant ass ones.
It's so good. This is one of the best ones too. The Taking of Christ. Look how good he paints the fucking armor. You know what I mean?
Let me see my boy shit. See, that's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, and he paints. The cool thing he does is he always paints them in the period that he's living in clothing, right? So it's you know how they redid Romeo and Juliet with fucking Leonardo DiCaprio and shit? That movie fucks so hard. That's such a good movie. Yeah. But they modernize it or whatever. He's doing that in the time with Bible stories. He's drawing everybody as Italians with fucking robes and
real people from the street as his models.
Real models.
That was a big, a faux pas with the Catholic Church too.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
They were you can't do that shit.
Oh, Caravaggio. He kind of.
Look at the faces on the people.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. The expressions, imagine that. And literally, he's painting that shit fucking 500 years ago, 400 years ago.
Yeah, 500 years
Where they carried around their paints in fucking, they were stomachs and, the fucking... Oh, are we rolling?
Yeah, we have a...
Sorry. They would carry around, bladders, literally in bladders, pigs' bladders.
Oh, shit.
That's where they put the paints in.
When you run out of red, you're fucked for a little while.
I don't think they started making paint tubes till the 1700s.
Who knows, dude? I was watching a video about sex in medieval times and the earliest condoms and shit. They were made of intestines. That kind of makes sense.
I had sex in medieval times.
I went to medieval times this weekend.
Is he the guy?
He's the disembodied head. Caravaggio's only self-portrait is his own head being severed and bleeding, held up by David.
Well, look at David, because David looks like him too in this other painting that somebody did of him.
Word.
That's neat, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
He traveled all around Europe, and
and he was
so
one of those
good.
guys that had just found a wealthy benefactor.
Yeah, of course,
and
yeah.
was able to just paint and fucking hang out. You were describing that, I think, when we were talking about fucking eunuchs or whatever, and you were like, yeah, I don't know, you gotta live in the house and you gotta sing them to sleep every night or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. He had a mansion on the king's property, though, you know, but he did have to sing him to sleep every night. Was that a euphemism, you know?
Fucking the king, yeah.
Yes. He's singing the king to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't hear that much.
He is using his throat.
He's humming the king to sleep.
Oh, man. Yeah, and Caravaggio killed a couple guys.
Italian.
He
Badass Italian.
Killed a couple guys. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He was hard. Old
He was
school.
hardcore. Oh, what I really was interested in talking about,
Okay.
and
Because I listened.
Welcome to Land of Knowledge.
Oh yeah, welcome.
to the land of knowledge.
Knowledge.
Hey, the drum.
All right. It was that thing I was telling you guys about, the 1974
yeah, okay.
White House helicopter
This
incident.
is great, man.
Oh.
I'm so proud of this guy.
Say
So
the title again.
it's known as the 1974 White House helicopter incident.
50 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years ago, a guy who was in the Army landed a helicopter that he had stolen on the south lawn of the White House. But was it Nixon, I think? Richard Nixon wasn't there?
74, I thought it'd be Jimmy Carter.
No, it's the one in between. It was
No,
Nixon,
Jimmy Carter
then
was like the whole 70s. Nixon, then Carter, then Reagan, right?
Gerald Ford.
Oh shit, dude.
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford.
And so-
Yeah, so my favorite thing about this was the guy's reasoning.
Yeah.
This
Can I tell you the guy's name real quick?
Yeah.
This guy, his name was Robert Kenneth Preston.
And what did he do?
He was a Army first class private who stole a Huey helicopter, a Bell Iroquois, from the Tipton Airfield in Maryland, and landed it on the south lawn of the White House.
Okay, shit.
So,
Bold.
yeah.
Very
pretty
bold. And wait till you hear, man.
Okay, so I just like it when people. This is like,
When they take initiative.
yeah, man. So he joined the Army with the desire to become a helicopter pilot,
Okay.
but he couldn't cut the mustard, and so they made him a helicopter
He
mechanic.
failed some sort of like instrument test or
Yeah.
something. I forget what
I
it
don't know,
was.
but
Because he could fly a fucking helicopter.
clearly, and he proved that, and that was his reasoning, dude. He hovered over the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. He like took laps and everything, landed right there. He went to prison for over a year.
Yeah. So I
For doing
read
this shit.
there was a little more like to the backstory as far as not failing the test. Apparently, they were getting a little more strict on the testing around this area in this time in 1974 because the Vietnam War was ended. So there's a surplus of helicopter pilots now stateside. So they're making it a little tougher for new pilots to get in the game. Well, that's what some people say. Who knows, but.
Makes sense.
Anyways, yeah, he failed the test, so he had to become a helicopter mechanic
Yeah.
at Fort Meade.
But anyway, yeah. So he went on a grand tour around the fucking security risk buildings and landed at the fucking White House and wasn't shot out of the sky by a missile, which
I
is the
know.
craziest fucking thing about it, honestly, man.
He was driving home.
And then he's just like thinking like this is the promotion getting like that's what I'm saying. It's like
The-
no, dude, you're going to prison for a year.
His
like,
girlfriend had just dumped him.
Oh!
He was
He said I'm never gonna fucking be shit. Dude, I'll show you I'm the fucking
I
man.
read, I think.
Oh my god! Can you?
He
see
was
him?
having
He's
some
wiping
relationship
tears out of his eyes
problems.
the whole time he's doing it.
In my mind, I pictured like he had gone into a date, into the city, into D.C. with his girl to meet, and he was. Maybe it was a nice place, and she was already had, was like, we're done, and broke up with him.
Broke up with him at dinner.
So on the way home, he's driving on the highway, and he's going past what was the Air Force
She slept
base?
with a-
Tipton Field, I
She slept
believe.
with the airline pilot.
Exactly.
And so now he's gonna go.
I want to be with a real pilot.
Oh, look, you know everything about it.
So he was driving home from this date, and he saw, I guess he knew, he was in the Army.
Yeah,
and worked
he
with
knows
these.
where it's at.
He knew that these helicopters, he saw that they were out on the launch pad. There was like a dozen of them or something like that. And they were gassed up, ready to fucking go. So he went out, commandeered one, flew it to D.C. I guess he flew it down whatever highway that was between wherever the fuck he was,
95.
Tipton Field. Yeah, I guess. And he fucking...
That's like some Bad Boys shit. A helicopter on a highway makes me think Bad Boys too.
He did a low pass over the restaurant that he had been at earlier, too.
I thought you were hypothesizing
No,
a date.
it's true.
I thought you were, oh man, dude. I thought we were painting a picture with our minds.
And I guess near the restaurant, he landed in a field because they found his hat there.
Oh, I rode in a helicopter one time, and
Oh,
my
so
mom and my aunt were shrieking. It made it not even worth it. They were so terrified. But now that I know more about helicopters, I say, don't do it.
Yep, he took off without his radio or his the right calls and didn't turn the lights on. He wasn't doing it by the book.
Yeah. There was. Did you ever hear about the guy? I think this happened in the 70s as well, who tied a bunch of balloons, weather balloons, to his lawn chair, and went up and
I don't
floated
know
around.
a movie like that.
It's real. He brought a BB pistol up there, and he's going to shoot him. To
Oh
maintain
my
his-
God, that guy's
And he,
amazing.
He brought like a drink and a BB pistol, and he dropped them both. So he
He
was
brought
just
like a
at the-
6-pack and a sandwich or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
for real. And he was just kind of at the mercy of things up there because he dropped the pistol, so he was just fucking.
He
pumped.
flew into the
He went
LAX
way
flight
fu- yeah,
pattern or
he
something.
went way fucking higher than he ever meant to go. And I mean, he wound up okay. He like crashed into a tree or some power lines eventually.
Yeah.
But
Planes were calling in saying, "Hey, there's a guy up here on a lawn chair,"
seeing a guy on a launcher. It must be cold up there. That is the most nerve-wracking thing
I guess they had to wait until like they came down
It's
and
not even
they got him by helicopter or some shit. I think.
No, he like wound up in like a tree, like in somebody's backyard.
Okay.
He like just floated in.
He got in trouble, I know
Can
that.
You imagine sitting in your backyard and out descending from the sky is a dude in a lawn chair with fucking balloons on.
He thought he might go up 100 feet in the air, and he ended up going like 15,000 feet in the air.
So fucking scary, dude! Oh my god!
He was scared shitless, so he didn't want to shoot any of the balloons out.
Well, I think he dropped his pistol.
Probably because he was scared shitless.
Yeah. You know, he dropped
You're
out the
3
shadow
miles
and-
in the air.
Golly. Seriously though. Seriously.
Anyway.
That's an almost unbelievable story.
It is.
Back to the tale of Robert Kenneth Preston.
He sounds like a lacrosse player too.
They said, they didn't have any surface-to-air missiles around D.C. at the time, so it was in the early 70s. They didn't put him until after 9/11, so
Well, they'll
he would have
let
been in
it fly.
deep shit
I
nowadays.
mean, they won't even shoot down a Chinese spy balloon. They'll let it cross the entire fucking country. So what were they going to do then?
Yeah, that's true. He hovered above the Washington Monument for about 5-10 minutes.
Wow.
And so they
Do you think
dialed
he's
up.
polluted?
I hope so.
Do you think he like did a pass, like a circular pass, just like saluting people?
He started appearing on radar for BWI, and so they scrambled a couple Maryland State Bell Jet Rangers, another helicopter type. And so he was getting
Someone
pursued.
get up there and reason
He was getting pursued by helicopters and police cars. He caused he caused 2 police cars to crash into each other.
Holy shit.
He wanted to go to the White House and personally surrender to Nixon, but Nixon was in Florida, so.
Damn, dude. He's lucky it wasn't fucking Lyndon Johnson. He would have got his ass kicked.
They said he was using modern dogfighting tactics in evading the Maryland State helicopters.
Oh my god.
He had dogfighting tactics.
I didn't know helicopters could
Yeah.
dogfight like that.
He's flying on friggin' 120 miles an hour, inches above cars. I can't believe he only went to jail for 6 or a year or something
I know,
like that,
that's
dude.
what I'm saying.
So he landed he went over, he first came to the White House, because he went twice. He landed on the White House grounds at 2 a.m. Barely, clearly, barely clearing the steel. He's drunk, come on.
Yeah.
Barely clearing the steel fence. He said he was so close to the White House he could have driven right in the front door, according to one of the other pilots that was following him.
Can you imagine everyone scrambling to get out there because they can't believe it happened? So they're like, "Hey, hey!" And then he sees it, so he starts it back up again, but it's still like waiting to get off the ground. They're all running at it.
They got the floodlights on him, and then the Secret Service run out and start shooting at him with machine guns and shotguns. He got hit.
What, by a bullet?
Yeah, he got hit. They shot at him. They weren't sure what they were like. What the fuck? Because was the protocol, but they were like, "Oh, it's happening."
Helicopter at the president's house.
So they shot 300 rounds at him. 5 hit him. Only superficial wounds. So he was like, "I got to get back out of here." So he flew away.
What about the? Well, yeah, keep going. What else you got on this thing?
So he went. He's planning to. He wanted to go. He went and surrendered. Like he went and landed at the White House, and then he left, and then he came back and landed at the White House again. He exited the helicopter, started running towards the White House. He got tackled by Secret Service agents.
Yeah.
He'd been shot 5 times at this point. And they said by the time they tackled him, he was laughing like hell.
Does it say that?
Yeah, I swear to God.
At that point, man, you're fucked up, dude.
He was drunk then.
Yeah.
He was all smiles when he arrived at Walter Reed Medical Army Hospital.
Yeah, medical hospital for that guy. Well, he did get shot too.
You can go see the helicopter today at.
Have you ever heard the story? This is kind of in the thing of.
We should reenact that. We need to.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good.
Some people think there's another guy a couple days later who tried to hijack a plane in a copycat fashion, but he ended up just
Getting shot in the head or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, right after somebody does it is the worst time to do it.
Yeah,
as far as like the security around the helicopters and stuff.
Wait, I thought you were watching the helicopter.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Thomas Fitzpatrick, who landed a plane on a New York City street?
Was he the one that was in a bar who told his friends?
I just made sure this is
When
true.
was
I looked
that?
it
I
up on
remember that
Snopes,
story.
man. So there's a drunken argument. This is September 30th, 1956. So
okay.
fucking bow.
That's like a former World War II pilot, I bet.
For sure. He's arguing in a bar, and Thomas Fitzpatrick claimed he could fly an airplane from New Jersey to New York in under 15 minutes. To prove himself, he stole an airplane from a New Jersey airfield at 3 a.m., flew without lights or radio, completely intoxicated, and landed it on the street in front of the bar that he came from.
Oh my
The owner of the
God.
plane so impressed he refused to press charges. I don't know.
We're too impressed.
I doubt it. Come on.
Come on, man. That's his plane now. That's your plane now.
Man, that's the golden
so you don't
era
have
of
to pay
America that
$1,000
we
fine.
missed. Well, kind of my childhood,
So
but
what?
that golden post World War II America, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, none of us were there, so.
No. Well, it went on until, I guess, the 70s, 80s, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Let the good times roll.
Yeah,
90s were
it's
pretty
not
tight.
that good of a time.
No, there
I
are
wouldn't
lows.
say, I don't know, man.
No.
I think like 1968 Democratic National Convention.
Times
is, like,
always
not
suck,
the
you know?
Good old days.
You're
I
right,
think that
you're
things
right,
got
you're right,
pretty
you're right.
upset. I think it went from like the 50s. I mean, you had Korea started in 1950, but it goes from like the 50s, like 1964, and I think once 1965 hits and the hippies start acting up and shit, I think things got
Better.
I mean, you don't have to tuck your shirt in every fucking where you go. You know, that's kind of cool.
I like that.
You know, although I try to dress snazzy all the time.
I like to dress snazzy, but I don't like to dress like, you know,
You
like...
have like streetwear style.
I know, but I don't like to dress...
It's cool.
I
You're
like-
well-dressed guy.
I don't like to dress like with like politicians and businessmen and shit. Like I feel like they're wearing fucking nooses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, fuck you. You goddamn take off your uniform, bro.
Sure, you make a lot more money than I do.
Let's see. All right, so he only had to pay $1,000 fine, and 2 years later he gets in another argument with someone who wouldn't believe it. So he did it again that night because the guy wouldn't believe him. But this time he went to prison for 6 months.
He didn't believe him like
you did. No way you did that. He's telling the story in the bar.
He's just look. The plane's parked outside, right? That's the proof.
Yeah.
The plane.
Well, it was 2 years later.
Oh, 2 years later.
2 years later, he's arguing with some guy who's like, "There's no way you did that."
Oh.
So he did the exact same thing.
I thought you said he did it, and then right after he did
I'll
it,
show you I did it.
And they're all like,
No, you didn't do it.
I got a plane out there.
They're all so drunk that
Yeah,
their
the
short-term
plane in, but
memories
nobody
are
says you
like
landed
10
it.
minutes. Like when you're dealing with somebody who's blacked out, and they're like, "No, you didn't land a plane." And you're like, "Yes, I did. You weren't there." "Fuck you. No, you didn't. I'll do it again." Guy would not remember either time, you know?
There was that Amazon dude who stole a plane and killed himself. You remember that?
What?
This was like a couple years ago.
The Sky King?
I guess. He's like, I'm going to try a barrel roll.
Yeah, he stole the Air Alaska plane.
Sad, but yeah,
No, people are like, "Fly on, Sky King!" Like it's the most
Did he
beautiful.
like steal a plane and it crashed?
Yeah, around. I think it was
this is
SeaTac.
another, like-
He was, he was a ground service guy. I think.
Yeah, is this another, like, divorce story? I can't remember, but there was something. I mean, he killed himself.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was, he was like, "Oh, you try." He's like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be landing this thing," or because they always played that shit on TikTok, and people were like, "Fly, Sky King, fly!" And it's just like it's kind of sad, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
it's really sad. It's like, dude, they're like, he lived his dream. It's like, man, his dream was to fly, and he jumped off the World Trade Center. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Let's celebrate him so other people might have the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, that was,
Because we could celebrate.
He
that
lived
too.
so free.
he obviously never got to do what he wanted to do, and the only way to do it
No,
was to
and
kill
he's
himself.
like, yeah.
So I don't know.
It's cooler than fucking going into a place, a Walmart, with a machine gun and shooting a bunch of people and then killing yourself. It's
Yeah.
better to hijack a
It's
plane,
way
do
better
barrel
than hijacking
rolls,
an empty plane.
and then fucking crash.
Remember those days when
He
people-
pulled off some serious moves too.
Well, in my day, people just killed themselves. They didn't kill anybody
Yeah,
else.
I see what you're saying after that. That's what we need to make.
He was doing loop de loops and shit. This fucking guy.
That's the way to go.
Well, he's
man.
in contact with
My favorite.
like air traffic control the whole time.
Yeah, they
right?
play the. I've heard the the audio, the
You have?
clips. Yeah,
Hey, pilot
What year
guy,
was it?
can this thing do a backflip? You think?
2013 or something like
He asked
that.
a nearby pilot.
How about speaking of? We're on a kind of an airplane theme,
That's sad,
an
yeah.
aviation theme. The flight attendant who was like had his. It was like I don't forget what airline it was, but he had it, and while they were on the tarmac, I don't know. I think it was before they'd even left. People had pissed him off, and he said "fuck it," and he was like said some shit over the intercom, quit, and then he blew the fucking slide on the door, like opened the emergency door, blew the slide, grabbed 2 beers, and jumped down the fucking slide and got
God,
fired.
who's that,
Yeah, he got in
Dan
big
Wilder?
trouble. Yeah,
Holy
no
shit, that's crazy. But you know what, dude? I worked here for 10 fucking years. I'm doing the slide.
yeah.
I'm doing it.
It's like these people, they break, and then
Yeah, I mean, people
I
act
get it.
crazy.
Life's stressful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that woman who thought somebody wasn't real? She was so hot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, she didn't think somebody was real. There's a lot of crazy hot chicks out there, man. And like, there's a lot of crazy and hotness go hand in hand.
One feeds the other.
Yeah. Well, one makes people tolerate the other,
Yeah.
and so you learn, you don't get checked. But
Yeah.
fucking, so you don't want to talk about Al Capone?
Oh, Al Capone? Yeah,
that's
let's
what
talk about. Yeah, well, then I thought
about
it was
podcast
past
today.
It was past Valentine's Day. It was past Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Okay, Dracula.
It was
Valentine's.
It was past Valentine's Day. So, yeah. Since last week was Valentine's Day, I was thinking about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in
February 14th, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ.
February 14th, 1929 is what I was going to say, man.
Holy shit, man.
It's in the name.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, my God.
It was the St. Valentine's Day
What day is
Massacre.
Christmas this year, bro.
25th. So,
I'm Jewish.
all right, Chicago, Prohibition, right? Alphonse Capone.
Yeah, he was born in 1899.
He was born in 1899, New York City.
Yeah, he's a Brooklynite.
Yep, his parents were immigrants from
not Naples.
Sicily, Sardinia, I don't know.
Florence, I think he said that he was from. I'm from Italy. But,
Somewhere
he
in
claimed
southern
to be-
Italy, I
He
believe.
claimed to be Florentine, but I don't know if he was or not. But yeah. So just, I didn't really do any formal research because you told me you read a book.
Yes, exactly.
But I
Few
I
chapters.
had a poster of Al Capone on my door to my room for like a decade, from when I was in like all of middle school and high school.
Oh, yeah?
And-
I fucking thought this guy was a shit.
And he was so young when he went to prison. Like, you know, you think
And
and he
his
was like
height is him
33 or
being
something
30
like
or
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the height of his life really is when he's like.
So what happened?
Okay,
Well,
so if we want to go way back with old Al
Or
Capone.
do you want to say what happened in the St. Valentine's Day?
Okay, so we'll paint the picture. Okay, so
paint
early
that
morning.
wall.
Okay, it's in the morning in Chicago. And I believe Capone's gang was the South Side, right?
Yeah.
North Side was
Bugs
Moran's gang. And in a garage on the north side, I don't know, how many guys was it? 7?
7.
Yeah.
So
It was
2
gangsters.
guys dressed as cops and 2 guys just dressed in really formal wear. Round up these 7 guys and act like they're gonna frisk them, arrest them.
Yeah, because these guys were there. They were meeting at this garage, which was like a legit, auto body mechanic garage. Mechanic was one of the guys who got murdered. The dog, his dog, was the only thing that was left living.
Yeah.
And so this garage was like a one room, right? And it was like it's in between a couple taller buildings. And it was like a meeting spot because this guy who worked the garage, fixed mob cars and stuff like that. And so it was also a meeting spot. So these guys, who are part of Capone's gang, or not part of Capone's gang, part of Bugs Moran's gang, they were all there hanging out. And back in this era with these Chicago gangsters, they would dress like immaculately. You know what I mean? They would wear like furs and suits and jewelry, and they said these guys, the gangsters who were killed, were dressed in like really nice clothing.
Yeah, they were draped.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was another guy there who was... And so, anyways, they were gathering. It was like 10 in the morning, and they were gathering to wait for Bugs Moran to show up, for, meeting. I don't know what the fuck. They're going to talk about killing people and selling bootleg liquor. And there was a local dentist, right? I think it was a dentist, who was... friends was like, hung out with the mob guys. It was kind of like, we can go to the dentist. He'll take the, he can do the, take the bullets out. He can do like that. And anyway, so he hung out in these mob circles, and it got him killed because he was one of the guys who got killed there.
Yeah, man. You be careful you stand next to him.
So they're hanging out there. Apparently, they didn't have any heating in the place, so everybody's crowded around the hot plate that they had coffee boiling on or whatever. And there's this one light, like a hanging light in the garage, and a couple of cars in there, and a fucking German Shepherd dog tied to one of the bumpers.
I love my German Shepherd.
And these cops show up, and they think it was just some of the cops. It's kind of a game. You know what I mean? All the cops are a shakedown. Exactly.
The gangsters, they're more pointless.
Exactly, and it's like, because they're like, why the fuck is this happening? Because we pay these guys all off. But anyways, it wasn't unheard of. It was a shakedown, like you said. So they put these guys up against the wall. And then, from what I've heard, because no one was there and anybody was there, whatever.
Yeah.
No one was ever charged for any of
Couldn't
this
ask
shit.
the dog what happened.
Yeah, exactly. After the 2 cops came in, these 2 other guys came in trench coats with fucking Tommy guns.
Yeah.
And yep,
They lined
and
them all up
loaded
against the
them.
wall, and they executed 7 people at once, and then got away with it completely.
Yeah, because then
Yeah.
the cops acted like they were escorting out the other guys.
Yeah, so
like they arrested him.
You know, I mean, we obviously like shootings and murders and shit are like not uncommon at all in the United States, but
So the
7 at once,
Yeah.
like execution style, is pretty fucking nuts.
Dude,
And it was just too much for people because the gang wars were actually so fucking crazy back in the day. They would be in like the second story windows watching the street and like sniping people as they tried to cross the street from one place to another and stuff. Like it was really, really like that. Like I mean, the whole hanging out the car with a fucking machine gun comes from that shit, dude. They really were killing each other all over the place all the fucking time. And the newspapers, this up into the 70s and 80s, I mean, they'd take no censorship at all, just corpse pictures.
Oh
and
my
post them
God.
with these gangsters with blood and all this shit. Like, I mean,
yeah, like when what's his
whack
name?
mafia
Who's the
bosses
one
or
who got
something
shot
like
in L.A. You know, and he's like the picture of him. He's just murdered on his couch. Meyer Lansky.
Yeah, or Bugsy Siegel.
It was Bugsy Siegel is the one I'm thinking of. Meyer Lansky lived to be older.
Yeah. Yes, Bugsy Siegel. That one sucks, man. He was kind of a cool dude. But
yeah.
I
So
mean, there's so fucking many.
and like nobody really heard. Nobody made a big deal. I mean, I guess some people heard some shit because a woman sent her husband over and was like, and he went in and saw this scene, called the police. But apparently he said he could there was there was the mist, it looked like the blood mist was still hanging in the air. Oh God! And smoke from all the Tommy guns and all that. Ugh. Because that's crazy. Because when I read that, it made me think about The Godfather, the movie The Godfather.
Yeah.
Because when they do that, when Michael shoots the guys in the restaurant, cop and the other guy, whatever. He was like, we want to get the mist that comes out when you shoot somebody in the head. He was like, that was a key thing that he wanted. And it's like, ugh. But that's,
gross,
I guess, something that happens.
So that was that's kind of like a turning point for Al Capone too, because it's his Southside gang that does this execution. Did they get Bugs Moran in this?
No, but
no.
And he was late, or he got a tip off or
Al Capone
something.
was always fighting some fucking buddy.
And Al Capone was in Florida at the time at his mansion.
Some of them were like, that's almost more makes us think you did this more because you're always so conveniently in Florida whenever anything happens.
Palm Beach.
That leads us to believe that you planned it. So Al Capone was born in 1899 in Brooklyn, New York, to 2 immigrant parents, and he is out of school by like the 6th grade. He's fighting. I think he hit a teacher with a chair or something. He's just like it's not for him. He's not necessarily a stupid guy.
And
not for most,
out of school, because also it's kind of like common for immigrant children who they didn't have a lot of money, and so I think they became part of they had to earn money for the household.
Yeah. So he had one brother who went changed his last name and everything and went totally straight.
Oh, the one who became a federal agent.
Yeah. And then his other 2 older brothers, though, they were running the streets and shit. And I mean, he was actually kind of lucky because he had these closer to adult older brothers who were also bringing an income to the family. So if he hadn't fucked around, he probably could have stayed in school if he wanted to.
And that's where Frank Nitti came into place too.
Frank Nitty's a fucking G.
He lived down the street from him in Brooklyn.
So all these guys know each other since they're really young, and that's the bond that makes them not betray each other. I love they betray each other.
The 5 Points gang, right?
5 Points gang. Think Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
It's the continuation of that because I mean this is right turn of the century. I mean, like I said, he's born in 1899, so fucking when Al Capone is doing his thing, the mafia, La Cosa Nostra, the fucking thing.
He was part of that shit, of the rise of that shit.
Didn't even exist yet.
That was Lucky Luciano.
There was just different gangs and different bootleggers and shit. There's, it was more diverse. It wasn't as strictly Italian yet and stuff. He's been with Jewish guys a lot. Jaime Weiss, I think, was one of his main enemies.
Yeah.
That he truly feared. But
right. So he was in New York, right?
Yeah.
Until he got into bouncing and bartending with what was his name?
Sold some girl.
Johnny Florio. What was the name of his gut?
Torrio.
Johnny Torrio.
Was his
that's
boss
it.
Who handed him the reins? I think Johnny Torrio was one of the few smart guys that just kind of retired.
Yeah, like, he moved his operation to
yeah.
Chicago from New York.
Right.
And
they
then
took their power from Johnny Torrio's boss. Capone and another guy murdered his boss because his boss didn't want to bootleg. And Al Capone got rich off of liquor. That was his main fucking thing. Was illegal alcohol because the Volstead Act.
Yeah.
The Volstead
Yeah.
Act was enacted by Congress.
Repealed the right.
Drinking alcohol was not illegal, but making it and selling it was.
What year was that? 20?
I don't know.
1919, 1920,
But
something
yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
he's basically born in 1900, so you can track his age.
And he became the head of Johnny Torrio's, enterprise when he was 24, 25, right?
Yeah, so they moved to Chicago because it was kind of like an open city. Although, I mean, obviously not because he's having to fight all these Irish people and Jewish people for control. But, yeah, he knows all, like, the fucking heavy hitters that go on to form, the American Mafia.
Yeah, I know. Like the 5 Points or whatever gang, they had, like, Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky.
So the Mafia, even, like, today, I don't know. I mean, who knows
Al
what's going on with them
Capone,
today, but yeah.
Frank Nitti.
There was another one in Harlem called the Purple Gang. There are these, like, street gangs that you get into when you're a kid that act like farm teams for the Mafia.
Yeah.
Where they'll contract work out to these younger guys and shit like that. And you just kind of go and get money without stepping on anybody's toes enough until somebody takes you in. Because, like, in that shit...
Yeah, they got a crew.
Somebody has to, like, bring you along. You know what I mean? Eventually, they call it... Like, cops talk about their rabbi. They kind of have that in the Mafia, too, where you have, like, a sponsor or, like, a
somebody
guy
shepherds
that
you through
get
the process.
game from. Yeah,
Like the guy that vouched for Donnie Brasco.
I guess. I don't know. I've only seen that movie.
That's what I do. I vouch for people.
Yeah.
I vouch for him.
I found.
Yeah, he's a voucher.
Yeah, Michael, I vouch. I vouch for him.
So Capone's killing it, and his from 25 to 30, he's making tons of money.
Yeah.
He's selling more liquor than anyone in Chicago.
He is. He's super famous. I think
Yeah,
there's
and
a ball game he goes to where nobody stands for, like, Woodrow Wilson, but they all applaud fucking Al Capone when he walks in.
Yeah, because he was, providing the public with what they want. Like, there's never been a more unpopular law than prohibition.
Yeah, no shit. And prohibition was also, it was a Christian temperance thing, but they kind of used the rampant domestic violence.
There's always so much more. You know what I mean? And
but it was kind of a xenophobic thing too. They looked at the whiskey bars and shit that the working class immigrants went to when they got off work every night as like, Catholic fucking,
the guy spends his day's wages instead of
hedonism,
supporting his family.
Right. And
Angela's
but
ashes
also
shit.
just like it's a den of sin and stuff like that, and we don't do that shit.
You ever read Angela's Ashes?
Isn't that the one about
By
you
Frank
drank the
McCormick?
wages?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they made a
you drank
movie
the
about it. Yeah,
wages.
yeah. With that great actress plays the wife too. I can't think of her, but she's been in so much
we
shit.
watched it senior year of high school.
I feel like my mom. Maybe I'm thinking of the mom from My Left Foot. Anyway, she's a great character actress.
But yeah,
Sorry.
that shit is. That's the way it goes, man.
It's so fucking tragic.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
This guy, Frank McCourt, who was a teacher in New York City and whatever, but he wrote this book about growing up in abject poverty as an Irish immigrant, and his dad was a raging alcoholic, and
Yeah,
his
super
little
annoying.
brother died or some shit. It's just horrific.
Yeah, what was the movie called?
Angel's Ashes. I think they made a movie too. Yeah.
Man. Well, on a lighter note, let's get back into Al Capone.
Let's get back into Al Capone. Sorry. Yeah.
So fucking, yeah, he does beat a guy to death with a bat at dinner in front of everybody.
Yeah, that really
So Al
happened.
Capone- yeah, really happened.
And so some guy becomes a mayor of a town right around, near
Cicero?
Chicago. Yeah, was this the mayor of
Cicero.
Cicero?
He bought
And
Cicero.
and the fucking he said something in a speech that he was going to go after the gangsters and the people selling the booze. And Al Capone was standing there and kicked his ass right there down the fucking steps of the courthouse. The cops, no one did anything.
That's fucking badass. I think he kind of owned Cicero. That became like his base of operation. It was easier. There wasn't like, I think there was a local, guy, but he was easier to move aside than fight. Like, he had like a base of operation, I think, out of there to help him, give him like a calmer place that he could totally control the local government, and then wage his war in Chicago, kind of like from a home base in Cicero. But he was always out of town whenever anything bad happened.
Yes, you're selling something that you make so much fucking money. Corruption is just what you do. It's like oil companies. God, they make so much fucking money, right? They go into all these developing nations or whatever, right? They have all their oil and gas and natural resources and just fucking take all the shit out. What was I even talking about?
I don't know, but fucking
Al Capone.
Oh yeah. So much money, you know what I mean? Like it sells itself. You know, it's like drugs, alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking.
Yeah, you don't need.
It's a fact of life, dude. You're just the temporary courier of that shit, dude. It moves on its own.
You don't need a commercial for it.
No, you don't have to advertise, dude.
It's like the new. They have commercials for Novant Health that makes me so nervous. It's like, why is a hospital doing a
weird.
Commercial?
And when I was a
you
kid,
shouldn't have to like sell me anything.
When I was a little kid, I
Go there and you'll see all the people laying on the floors or all around the fucking
I
hospital,
was in that
dude.
fucking
So
ER the other night, man. It was fucking terrible.
that's why they have commercials, because if you really go there, they're like, here, let's take you to your room, and it's like
You
a
know
chair
how-
in the hallway.
You know how they make the
For real.
burger look on TV, and then when you go to McDonald's, it's all fucked up and flat. And
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
the hospital
Hey, we got
Somehow the burger's on top of the bun, you know, the cheese is in the middle.
It's 2 pieces of cheese.
Yeah,
Double
exactly.
cheeseburger, man.
Look at the picture.
That's a weird key, man.
Farmville, Virginia.
All right, so important detail in the life of Al Capone is that he contracted syphilis when he was younger. He fucked around all the time. Obviously.
Oh yeah, because he was a bartender, always a brothel guy. He was, you know,
So a guy
he was
cut
around
his face-
whoas a
guy
lot.
Cut his face because he talked about his little sister's butt or whatever, and that's how it became called Scarface. But he did not like that fucking name. If you would not call him
that to his
Scarface,
face,
you would
no.
definitely not do that. He actually, I think he said he wanted people to call him Snorky. So
It's hard when you try to give yourself a nickname.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I don't know if that was like kind of cool.
guys.
Maybe it's like a young
call
thug,
me
like
Snorky.
swine.
they're like, okay,
Okay, Snork. It was Snork. But anyway, so fucking.
do we really gotta call him that?
So he never treated his syphilis. He knew he had it.
Well,
and
and
it
like-
attacked his brain
What
and
do you-
made him a syphilitic moron.
What are you supposed to do?
I think he already had syphilis pretty
He was one of
good
the first
before they
people that
knew he
was
could
ever
take
given
penicillin or whatever.
He was
Yeah,
one of the
because
first people to ever get
by the time he
penicillin.
started taking it, it was at the point where it would slow down the progression. But he was already fucked. His brain was
Yeah,
fucked.
he'd
you
had
know.
it for years.
I was just asking for a friend.
No problem.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Get some
Yeah,
penicillin.
you gotta treat it, brother.
Okay.
Actually, you know, they started wearing powdered wigs and shit because so many people had syphilis sores on their heads.
Oh yeah.
That's why they wore powdered wigs back in the day to cover up their syphilis open wounds.
Ooh.
I don't know.
That's
I heard
nice.
that, I guess. Maybe some
I
people.
wonder if
did.
that's true for reals.
Yep.
They fucking-
Welcome to For Reals.
So, anyways, to put a little button or a bow on this whole Al Capone thing, after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, he the public opinion of him starts to change.
Yeah.
He goes from kind of being seen as like a Robin Hood type to being a villain and a symbol of corruption. Because 1929, the fucking stock market crashes,
Yeah,
the
right.
Great
The
Depression, so
starts,
people
and
are
he's out
hurting
there
and he's rich.
Not paying taxes.
Yep, and
And
they're
that's what he
like,
goes to jail for.
yep.
He goes to jail
Elliot
for
Ness
tax
and the
evasion. I think he only
Untouchables.
gets like 6 years or something like that. But by the
And then
time he
Frank
gets
Nitti
to-
took it over when he
Frank
went to
Nitti's a
jail.
funny man. So the thing about the syphilis though is that it makes him like functionally like 12 years old and progressively younger. By the time he gets to Alcatraz, he's like pretty fucking different. I mean, he's still dangerous, but like
Yeah.
But
What, do you even look younger? I want syphilis.
And it makes
No.
you look younger too.
make you look younger. Hell
It's a
yeah.
Benjamin. They call it the Benjamin Button disease.
So fucking yeah, a baby Al Capone is there in Alcatraz.
And they let him out early
Yeah.
because
So
he's
like,
got
getting,
his
like,
brain
bullied.
so
yeah,
rotted.
He gets out early because he's so fucked up from it. He's getting bullied in there. He got stabbed in there. He managed to throw the guy against the wall and shit, but he wouldn't take part in a prisoner riot. He started to really stay by himself and shit because he's fucked up. When he got out, he was given like a male nurse that was told it was his like driver, but really it was their guy.
Yeah, and they would tell him lies because he would ask him about business and
he
stuff.
would fish
I
in
heard a
his
story.
swimming pool.
Nice.
Yeah, he tried to catch fish in his swimming pool. And, you know, if it's Al Capone, he's sitting out there with a rod and reel in the swimming pool, and you're his, like, security guy. You got to stand right there and act like he's fishing,
Smoking
too,
a cigar.
the whole goddamn time. You can't be like, you can't say shit, dude. Just fucking...
Didn't they make a movie with Tom Hardy as Capone in that time? I never saw it, but I remember reading about it.
I heard it was really bad.
I believe it.
Tom Hardy's a man, but...
He doesn't look anything like fucking Al Capone.
No, he doesn't. But anyway, so...
Yeah, Capone dies.
Shits himself to death.
How old is he? About 40...
Did you say shits himself to death?
I think he should.
47? 46? He's young.
Yeah. I mean, he made it through the Second World War.
Yeah, he dies in like 48 or 49, I feel like.
But, yeah. He didn't live very long because he didn't treat his syphilis. He had a bunch of kids with an Irish lady, actually.
Yeah.
He was married to the same woman and had a family and stuff for sure. He just...
And he was always faithful.
I wonder if she got syphilis.
Probably.
You know, I was like, I don't have syphilis.
I mean, this guy's like a professional liar, dude. You can't just...
But the sore's on your head, Al. Don't be lying to me. I can't do it.
Snorky!
Al, my mother told me never to marry an Italian boy.
Her mother would not let her marry him until the baby was born and viable. She was like, because babies died so much back then. All the time.
Oh, yeah, I read this too.
No, you're not marrying that guy because if the off chance your baby dies and you're married to him for no fucking reason, he's Italian. You know, we can't do this shit. And plus, she knew, I don't know if it was just because he's Italian. He's also Al Capone. He's a fucking 6th grade dropout, fucking violent criminal.
Yeah, I probably had a reputation around the neighborhood.
Yeah, his name was Scarface. So, yeah. So Al Capone was never in, like, one of the commission of, like, all the official mob families and shit didn't exist.
It all started,
So he's, like, he was kind of outside the structure of what we actually call, like, the modern
the 5
mafia.
families, and that's out in New York
That's
City
out of
and
New
stuff,
York,
and he
but
was Chicago.
They ruled the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that much about the mob,
I
but
kind
yeah.
of know a lot about the mafia. I mean, obviously, what I've heard in podcasts and shit, I'm a cracker motherfucker from the South. I don't know. Fucking Dave is the only Italian person I know.
Thank you.
Actually, maybe Jackie Boo's Italian.
Do you have any people that are mobbed up in your family?
No.
That's racist to ask.
We actually found out that I'm not as Italian as I thought I was. I always had 3/4.
That's a good name for your memoirs.
Not as Italian as I thought I was.
Oh. What did Cuomo say? I'm not overly horny. I'm Italian or something like that. When did Cuomo?
The former governor.
Yeah, when he got caught for groping people, he's like, "I'm not Nancy. I'm Italian."
Oh man, what a fall! Like they all the. I love to see all the behind the shit stuff that they do to get all this oppo shit on all the you know what I mean? Because he was like killing it, and they're like during like in 2020 and COVID, they're like, man, he should run for president. Biden could never win. Yeah. And then he falls apart. Turns out he's just a dipshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
think
he gets fucked in the.
I think their dad was the man.
Yeah, exactly. But, and I think that. And I'm sure he was not bad, capable, but at the same time, you know what I mean? Just a human who, they find out some shit.
Meanwhile,
they get
the
it.
president
As long as you're
is married to his middle school teacher. That
oh my
he met
God,
when he was
the
like,
president of the United States. Goddamn, all this shit he's done.
Yeah, I know, but like
certain people get a pass, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. The Macron thing is that she was his teacher in middle school. They started dating when he was like 15, and she was like in her late 30s.
Is this really?
Yeah,
she groomed the prime minister of France.
Macron, I don't know. It's France.
You can have wine and grooming school.
They're different over there. I mean, they'll have like a single president. I mean, so do we, but not officially. But fucking
Only single president I'm aware of is Hugh Grant in Love Actually.
You know, Ulysses S. Grant was.
And
pretty
that was real.
Okay,
real
I want
good.
to talk about my favorite mob hit though.
Please.
The hit on Christmas Eve, 1985, when they killed Big Paul Castellano.
Oh, damn.
Spark
Steakhouse.
Steakhouse, yeah. Fucking the 4 shooters. They do it for John Gotti. This is how John Gotti became the fucking
King of New York.
Gambino leader.
What's the year?
Was it
What's the year?
1985. So this is fucking. He's getting out in one of those boxy Lincoln Town cars. I mean, there's like.
Was this with, what's his name? Sammy the Bull?
Sammy the Bull.
Was the under guy or whatever?
Yeah,
It was...
he was there. But like, so it's like, I mean, I think of like Home Alone 2. I know that was the 90s or whatever, but like I'm thinking that's like the setting the stage of like what I think of as like New York in 1985 in downtown Manhattan. I mean, I know it was like grimy or whatever, but this was a fancy place and it was bustling with people all shopping and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4 gunmen, I think they just whacked his ass as he's getting out of the car. They pull up in the Lincoln, and just as they both try to get out, 4 guys run up and just plug the fuck out of all of them, both of them,
Damn.
him and his driver. And they're all wearing fucking tan trench coats and black Russian hats, so they can keep track of each other in the crowd. But that detail to me is the Russian hat,
Like
thing.
the big black...
Yes,
like
dude, it's so cool. And nobody's.
Because I mean, they killed him right on the sidewalk when they're walking
They killed
in.
him right on the sidewalk. Yeah, man.
Side note: when I lived in Connecticut, that's where I went at the time, and my folks went to eat at Spark Steakhouse, like not too long after, or before. Like it was probably after because it was probably cheaper to eat there.
I mean, I'm not the leader of a mafia family, so I don't think anybody's just gonna run up and shoot me.
No,
I can
no,
go to
but
Spark Steakhouse. But
probably got good steaks.
I'm sure
They're still around.
I'm sure if a mob boss eats there, it's really good. The mafia knows about anything. It's fucking restaurants, dude.
I've heard they have good restaurants in New York
You
City.
eat, you kill, you eat again.
It's made of people.
Oh, somewhere I saw that New York. Well, this is I don't know if it's probably biased, but they say New York City is the best food city in the world,
I would believe it. It's the capital
and
of
it
everything.
would be the top 3 cities in the world because it has so many fucking restaurants. There's like 20,000 restaurants in Manhattan or something crazy.
Dude. Hey man, New York fucking rules. Every culture in the world is represented there, at least a little bit. It feels like it's cool.
Yeah. I want to go to Paris. I've never been.
I want to go to Marseille, dude. But anyway, yeah. So nobody ever gets in trouble for the broad assassination of Paul Castellano and his driver.
And no one
John
ever got
Gotti.
in trouble for the fucking St. Valentine's Day massacre either.
Yeah, nobody's caught. Like, I mean, this is pre-DNA and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
nobody saw. I'm also.
And how much of the
like,
will
they
is
still knew
there?
Not to, you know. Yeah,
Well,
who's
don't.
gonna tell on that?
Yeah, they're like,
Who's gonna tell on the
okay.
4-man anonymous hit
So
squad
some
that
really
just
bad
evaporated?
gangsters killed some really bad gangsters.
Yeah. Paul Castellano.
No one
got
wants
caught.
to tell us anything.
Paul Castellano got caught fucking having sex with his maid on a wiretap, and Paul Castellano is a piece of shit. He had a guy murdered he had his fucking daughter's boyfriend murdered because he didn't like him or some shit, like twice. Or her husband, like,
Which
murdered her.
family is this?
This is the Gambino.
So was
they
he the
were
Carlo
both-
Gambino? Was he the one who came after
Carlo
Carlo?
Gambino made, Paul Castellano. He was like his brother-in-law or something.
Okay,
But
yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Castellano was more of like the business dude, not the street guy. And Carlo Gambino had this dude with him the whole time who was the fucking like most realist gangster of all time. Let me look this guy up.
And Carlo Gambino was like lived into his old age, right? He never got in trouble.
Yes, Carlo Gambino. I think he might have probably gotten in a little.
I mean, he got in
trouble,
some, but I mean, like he never did died in prison or anything like
No.
that, right?
No. Okay, so Carlo Gambino had a guy named Neil De La Croce who was like also an old dude, but was like the most gangsterous of all the guys. Like all the old cops talk about, he had these like icy blue eyes, but he was Italian and he was huge, even
Oh
as
my
an old
God.
man. And he just like was really scary. He was just like the realest, dealest motherfucker. And Carlo Gambino was maybe one of the most powerful mafia dons.
Yeah.
But
He was quiet, right?
He's
They-
quiet. He's just
Little-
he's a meager looking
Yeah,
old guy
exactly.
with one of those little fucking driver's hats those little flat hats.
Yeah. I've seen pictures, white hair.
Yeah.
Who is the Chin? Because I remember
Vincent Gigante.
Yeah.
He was
playing
the
crazy and all
family.
that stuff.
Yeah, he was the one who walked around in his bathrobe pretending he was insane to try
Yes.
to get himself out of prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do all the wiretaps. He was the one who's, walking around talking like this,
Yeah, well,
covering
they
their
called him
mouths
Chin,
and shit.
You weren't allowed to ever say his name. You had to point to your chin while you were discussing that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, because they all cover their mouths because the FBI is watching them and trying. They have lip
Oh, can you
readers.
imagine living like that?
No,
You'd be
dude.
compared-
All the stress.
Oh, it's so much harder than working, dude. They say we're the suckers. I'm like, hey, you going to prison. Yeah, so fucking he passed over Neil de la Croce. Carlo Gambino, in like a surprise, not keeping it that real thing, but I guess he's thinking he's looking out for his family, put Paul Castellano in, and that kind of pissed off all the street dudes. And John Gotti was an up-and-coming bad boy from East New York, and he was, not necessarily the money guy or whatever.
Right. He made the bold moves.
He made the bold moves, yeah. And then he fucking beat the federal government 3 times in court before they finally got him. And he's the Teflon Don. John Gotti, attracted a lot of attention, but he wasn't.
Did you ever see Black Mask about,
Whitey Bulger?
Oh, man. What a psycho. I
Yeah,
love reading
he is
about
a
these
psycho.
psychos.
I think he was also kind of like a pedophile. But,
he was all sorts of bad shit. He said he would kill people. He'd dress up like a woman to assassinate people and shit.
Whitey
he
Bulger was working
pretty-
and cooperating with the federal government for like 40-something years.
Yeah,
too.
him and
During,
Steve
the
Flemmi.
bulk of him selling drugs,
The
and
rifleman.
killing people. He was. It's what the Departed is about.
Yeah, he was on the lam
so
for
Whitey Bulger was on the lam. Yes, I remember being a kid and going to the computer lab, and I'd always look up the FBI 10 Most Wanted, and I was like, "Who is this old white man on here, man?" All the time. He was on the run for decades. They finally found him. He's just living in Santa Monica.
So, Travis, what did you look up on the internet today?
Moosefside, or like whatever, dude. I want to talk about the blind sheep.
Other kids are going to NBA.com, and you're going.
But anyway, so fucking Whitey Bulger was the leader of the Sugar Hill Gang or Sugar Hill Mob or whatever, and fucking not Sugar Hill Gang, dude.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But I think the Cherry Hill Mob. But anyway, he was an FBI informant for that whole fucking time, and then when he finally got arrested in like 2017
Winter Hill
or something, Winter Hill. He gets sent to like a special prison for a long time, but eventually he got transferred to a regular
that like
fucking
Supermax
prison. No, it was just a federal, Bureau of Prisons, like official
in West Virginia or some shit.
No, I think it's in Pennsylvania. It's called Sandy or whatever. But fucking within like less than an hour. Some guys had beaten him to death with locks and socks and gouged his eyes out.
An 88-year-old man.
An 88-year-old man or whatever. They fucking
God,
beat him
can you
to
believe
death.
that still at 88 he
Yeah.
fucking
Oh,
got
he
murdered?
I mean, he betrayed a lot of people.
Well, I mean, live by the sword, you know what they
Motherfucker's still in
say?
there. Oh, he was a piece of shit, dude. It's okay. Fuck it.
Oh, no. I mean, like, he got, like, it's amazing that still at 88 he got beaten to death.
Yeah.
You know?
And his eyes were gouged out, dude.
And it was a mob guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forget. I saw that, but it was somebody who was,
Yeah,
had some
gangster
vendetta
from
and people.
Boston, man, yeah. But, yeah, Whitey Bulger, what a fucking psychopath.
Man.
Man, I could talk about
Hid all that money around Europe so that he could just flee.
Well,
His brother was the fucking head of the state senate of Massachusetts. I mean, that's crazy. They grew up in those projects in South Boston. Yeah.
You want to hear about a guy who stashed his money and got away? Have you ever heard of Frank Matthews?
Mm-mm.
He's a black gangster from Durham, North Carolina, he is the one who brought heroin over in caskets. He was fucking Frank Lucas and a lot of people's fucking supplier. He was even way bigger than Frank Lucas, who they talk about in American Gangster. He was the supplier to Nicky Barnes.
He didn't get
had
caught?
his own fucking thing. He got caught. He bonded out, took like $50 million. It left his family, took his girlfriend, and never came back.
And they never saw him
From
since.
Durham, dude.
What's his name?
Oh my god, I just fucking said it.
I know. I'll have to listen to this episode, and then I'll do some.
Dude, fucking Oh, I have to tell you.
Frank something, because it
Frank
wasn't
Matthews.
Frank Matthews.
Frank Matthews, dude. Yeah, he fucking made like as much money. He was beefing with the Italian mafia, and he bought a big ass house in Staten Island, right in their neighborhood, and had to put all this fucking security on it because they were so fucking mad that this black dude had moved onto their street and was also like competing with them.
Oh my god!
And shit. I mean, I think he still probably got those from the times anyway. But fucking Frank Matthews, dude. They don't. There's no shit about him because he won. He got away. He never came back.
What was the and this is like we're talking about gangsters,
dead
and I'm
now,
just
but-
going from one thing to the next. But I was thinking about that something Gardner Museum. It's like the biggest art heist in history. It was like what early '90s, I believe, and they stole these paintings from a museum in Boston, I believe it was. And so they think that maybe that Bulger and those kind of people may have known what was going on. But there's a Rembrandt. There's paintings that have never been found that were stolen, and they haven't
They're
been
in the
seen now
fucking
for
state
34
senator's
years.
office, dude.
Yeah.
That's where they're at, dude. That's what I think about the corruption in the government and shit. And I think about, there was a substantial opposition to the Volstead Act, right? And it's just like, if you think any of those politicians quit drinking after they passed that fucking law, you're out of your mind, because half of them probably voted against it. You know what I'm saying? They're not fucking... They know it's not real. We're just doing it. It's kind of like how they say it's like...
That's how all those
the
people
Pope does,
use
he definitely can't
religion,
talk to God.
you know? Exactly. They just...
It's
It's...
like, well, this is just what we did at work today. Dude. I'm not going to let this affect my actual fucking life. You know? Like, come on, get out of here. Just because Jerry from the other row said I can't drink anymore, you fuck.
Yeah.
You know they're not fucking. You know they don't. That's why, it's unenforceable.
Well, that's a sign of just I feel like, I don't know if intelligence it is, but like as far as like, yeah, there's laws, and you should follow laws, but at the same time, if a law is stupid, then don't follow it. Yeah. And you know what I mean? I think that's better.
You haven't done anything illegal until you get caught.
It's illegal to back out of your driveway, isn't it?
No way.
I've never heard that before. I remember people like, it's illegal to have a couch on your front porch.
Yeah.
Oh. I used to think it was illegal to turn the lights on in the car.
It's illegal to smoke marijuana and drive.
Well, that is.
That is. But if you do it a lot.
Okay, what about...
Okay.
But officer, I do this a lot.
I do this all the fucking
This is like not a big
time.
deal. That's like the best part about something about Mary, when they think he's the murderer and he's just picked up the hitchhiker, and he's like, it's not really a big deal where I come from. I like do this all the time, and the cop just bounces his head off the fucking table.
Imagine how tough those cops were back in the day. Oof, having to arrest Al Capone. Gucci Mane's got a song where he's like, have pity on the cop who gotta arrest me. I was like, God damn, that's fucking gangster,
Dude, and his Al Capone, the brother you're talking about, his older brother, right, who changed his name to like Jerry West or something like that. It's Tom something, I forget. God,
Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah, and then he went on to be a Fed who busted. He was like a prohibition whatever guy. I don't know what it's called.
A revenue.
But he was going after people like his brother in a different part of the country. Welcome to the land of knowledge.
Knowledge.
Next time, Caravaggio.
Caravaggio. I'll do some Caravaggio.
I do. I think that would be cool.
Caravaggio. Caravaggio.
Italian master painter, murderer, man of many mysteries.
Good drinking buddy.
Look, there's dead fucking Paul Castellano.
He loved wine.